Hi all, welcome back. Did you read the story A Shipwrecked Sailor up to we completed? I hope all of you have read the story A Shipwrecked Sailor and answered the textual questions. Okay, today I would like to ask you a few questions from the last class. Are you ready to answer my questions? My first question. What was the absurd thing done by the narrator? From the last class, you understood the absurd thing that done by Velasco. What was that absurd thing? Okay. The narrator was aware that he couldn't move forward. Still, he put the oar in the water as though trying to prevent the raft from moving, trying to anchor it in place. It was an absurd attempt. Okay, my second question. Why did Rengifo decking under water? Rengifo was the only person who was swimming confidently towards the raft. And while he was swimming, he ducking under water. Why did he sink? Why did he do that? Yes, to prevent the waves from sweeping him away. He ducking under water because to prevent the waves from sweeping him away. Okay, here is my third question. Could Velasco save Rengifo? Why? Why couldn't Velasco save Rengifo? Yes. Velasco made a last try to row to reach Rengifo and hauled out to him the oar. But he failed and Rengifo sank forever. Rengifo sank forever. Fourth question. I kept searching the water, hoping that someone would surface soon. Did anyone come to the surface? Why? Why? Yes. No one came to the surface. All of them might have drowned or reached some other life rafts as Velasco. Are you ready to answer the fifth question? Here it is. How did Velasco realize his ship had not sunk? How did he realize that? Yes. He could see the mast of the small ship clearly. Then he realized that the ship had not sunk in the middle of the sea. Here is the sixth question. Velasco said, it was reasonable to believe that some of my mates had reached the other rafts. Why? Why did he believe like that? Yes. Velasco realized that the small ship in which Velasco and his shipmates sailed had not sunk and there were 6 life rafts apart from rowboats and whales. That's why Velasco believed that some of his shipmates had reached the other rafts. I hope all of you have answered all these questions correctly. Did you answer it? Yes. Okay. Are you ready to go through the rest part of the story? Okay. Let's go through the rest part of the story as Shipwrecked Sailor. The last time Rengifo had asked me the time on the small ship, it was 11:30. I had checked the time again and the disaster had not yet occurred. When I looked at my watch on the life raft, it was exactly noon. It had taken only 10 minutes for everything to happen for me to reach the life raft and try to rescue my shipmates and stand motionless in the raft, searching the empty sea listening to the sharp howl of the wind. I thought it would take them at least 2 or 3 hours to rescue me. 2 or 3 hours, I calculated. It seemed an extraordinarily long time to be alone at a sea. But I tried to resign myself to it. I had no food or water, and by 3 in the afternoon I would surely have a searing thirst. The sun burned my head and my skin, which was dry and hardened by salt. Since I had lost my cap, I splashed water on my head, and I just sat on the side of the raft waiting to be rescued. It was only then that I felt the pain in my right knee. The thick blue drill fabric of my trouser leg was wet, so I had a hard time rolling it up. But when I did, I was startled. I saw a deep, half-moon shaped wound on the lower part of my knee. I didn't know if I had gashed it on the side of the ship or if it had happened when I hit the water, for I didn't notice it until I was seated in the life raft. Though the wound burned a little, it had stopped bleeding and was completely dry because of the salt water, I imagine. Uncertain as to what to do, I decided to make an inventory of my belongings. I wanted to figure out what I could count on in my solitude at sea. First of all, I could rely on my watch, which kept perfect time and which I couldn't stop glancing at every 2 or 3 minutes. In addition, I had my gold ring, which I had bought in Cartagena the year before, and a chain with a medal of the Virgin of Carmen on it, also purchased in Cartagena from another sailor for 35 pesos. In my pockets, I had nothing but the keys to my locker on the small ship and 3 business cards I had been given at a store in Mobile one day in January when I had gone out shopping. Since I had nothing to do, I read the cards over and over to distract myself until I was rescued. Did you listen the story carefully? Did you underline the unfamiliar words in your textbook? Did you understand the last paragraph that we have just completed? Don't worry. Let's discuss. In the end of the previous lesson, Velasco told about the hot and metallic sun, and the time was noon on the dot. Velasco realized that it had taken only 10 minutes for everything to happen. What was that everything? Yes, for him to reach the life raft and tries to rescue his shipmates and stand motionless in the raft, and then he thought it would take at least 2 or 3 hours to rescue him. And Velasco said, "But I tried to resign myself to it." What did Velasco resign himself to? Yes, you are right, my dears. Velasco realized that he would have to stay alone at sea at least 2 or 3 hours before he could be rescued. And it seemed to him an extraordinarily long time. He had no food or water with him, but he tried to resign himself to it all. He had no food and water. We have already said that the rowboats, the whalers and on the ship were not filled with food, and that's why the life raft where Velasco now had no food. And Velasco tries to resign with all these things. He accepted the bad situation because there was nothing to do. The sun burned his head and skin, and his skin was hardened and dry because of the salt water. Velasco splashed water over his head. And my question, why did Velasco splash water over his head? Why did he splash water over his head, the salt water over his head? Yes, he splashed water over his head as he had lost his cap and the sun was burning his head and skin. That's why he splashed the water over his head. Velasco then sat on the side of the raft waiting to be rescued. At that time, he felt something in his right knee. What was that? Yes, he felt pain in his right knee. And Velasco couldn't check what it is easily. Why he couldn't check that what is it in his right knee? Yes, he felt difficult to roll up his trousers because it was wet. Because of the wet trouser, he couldn't easily roll up the trouser above the knee, and he couldn't check what is it. But when Velasco checked it, he startled, he shocked. My question, why was Velasco startled? Why was Velasco startled? Why? Yes, Velasco was startled because he saw a half-moon shaped wound on the lower part of his right knee. But the wound was not bleeding. Why? Yes, because of the effect of the salt water. The wound was burning, but the bleeding has been stopped because of the effect of the salt water. Look at the 15th paragraph. Yes, Velasco couldn't decide what to do in that middle of the sea. Because of had to do nothing, Velasco decided to make an inventory of his things. And there is a question for you. What were the items in the list of belongings of Velasco? What were the things? Yes. A watch, a gold ring, a chain with a medal of the Virgin of Carmen, keys to his locker, 3 business cards, etc. were the items in the list of his belongings. These were the belongings. And Velasco decided to make an inventory of his belongings, and these were the belongings. Since he had nothing to do, he read the business cards over and over to distract himself until he was rescued. So, Velasco was waiting to be rescued, and it was tragic to him because all the fellow shipmates were drowned in the middle of the sea. Do you know what happened to Velasco then? After 10 days at sea, Velasco's raft reached at the coast of Colombia, and that's how Velasco, the only sailor, escaped from that shipwreck. I hope all of you have enjoyed the adventurous story of Velasco. And let me wind up today's class here. Thank you so much. Bye.